The moment Nova Blackwell stepped off that shuttle, 17 pairs of alien eyes locked onto her like she was some kind of cosmic joke. The gleaming flight deck of Station Omega-6 fell silent, except for the rhythmic clicking of Captain Zeol's mandibles, a sound that basically translated to barely contained laughter. Picture this, a towering insect commander, decorated with military honors that shimmer like oil on water, looking down at this human woman like she just crawled out of a garbage disposal. His voice dripped with condescension when he spoke. Humans don't pilot Vanguard-class vessels. Your species barely figured out how to leave your own planet. But here's where it gets interesting. Nova didn't flinch. 28 years of proving herself on Earth had given her thick skin. She straightened up, gripped her equipment case tighter, and fired back with the kind of calm confidence that makes bullies nervous. My credentials were validated by Admiral Fotek himself. I graduated top of my class and scored 98.6% on the IDF theoretical training. Oh, but the aliens weren't done. Lieutenant Crow, this stocky creature with leathery skin, practically snorted with amusement. Theory? Glorified video games. Tell me, Earth Girl, have you ever outrun a gravity torpedo through an asteroid field? Nova bit her tongue, because honestly, no human had ever done that. That's exactly why she was there, to be the first. But what happened next? That's when the real gut punch came. Captain Zeol scanned her assignment chip, and his compound eyes literally glittered with malicious joy. Nova Blackwell, assigned to pilot transport vessel TR-490. The entire room erupted in alien laughter. Why? Because TR-490 wasn't some sleek fighter ship. It was nicknamed the Rust Bucket, basically a flying garbage truck that made supply runs to forgotten outposts, a joke assignment for what they considered a joke pilot. But here's what none of these aliens knew about Nova Blackwell. She had a secret weapon in her pocket, her grandfather's wrench. Not just any wrench, mind you. This thing was technically contraband because Earth technology wasn't allowed on IDF vessels. But it represented something much bigger than a simple tool. Her grandfather had been a brilliant engineer who'd proposed revolutionary theories about combining incompatible alien technologies. The Galactic Science Academy had laughed him out of their chambers, dismissed his work as primitive human nonsense. Sound familiar? Now you might be wondering, what could possibly make a beat-up transport ship special? Hold that thought, because what Nova discovered in the engine room of the Rust Bucket would change everything. The ship was a disaster. 300 meters of industrial ugliness held together by hope and spare parts. The engines were running a weird mix of Krellian thrust systems and Terran converters that shouldn't have worked together. But Nova saw something the aliens missed. She spent an entire night ripping apart those engines and rebuilding them using her grandfather's theories, installing components that violated at least 12 different safety protocols, creating something the universe had never seen before. When Chief Mechanical Officer Drav found her the next morning, his reptilian scales flushed crimson with rage. "What did you do to my ship?" "I improved it," Nova said simply, wiping grease from her hands like she'd just changed a tire. She'd increased the engine efficiency by 40%, using something called a harmonic resonance amplifier, a device based on her grandfather's rejected designs. Drav was furious, threatening to report her, but Nova pointed out something crucial. Their departure window was closing, and removing her modifications would take 6 hours. They had to launch, modifications and all. Now here's where the story takes a turn that'll make your head spin. The first leg of their supply run went smoothly. Too smoothly. Because as they approached their destination, 7 pirate ships decloaked around them like wolves surrounding a sheep. Captain Vex of the Scarlet Nebula Syndicate appeared on their screen, cybernetic implants covering half his face, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. "Your ship is now under our control. Deactivate your engines. Standard procedure? Surrender immediately. 7 armed pirate vessels versus 1 transport ship? No contest. Nova's crew was already preparing for boarding when she made a decision that defied every rational calculation. Actually, she interrupted Vex's countdown, I've decided on a different option. Her hands flew across the controls and something impossible happened. The rust bucket, this supposedly obsolete transport ship, suddenly shot forward at a speed that should have been physically impossible. The acceleration slammed everyone back in their seats as Nova threw the massive ship into evasive maneuvers that would have made a fighter pilot jealous. That's not possible, her communications officer gasped. We're exceeding design specifications by 300%. But Nova was just getting started. As the pirates opened fire, she slammed her hand down on a control panel she'd secretly installed. The ship shuddered, the stars outside seemed to stretch and distort, and the pirates' weapons' fire passed harmlessly through empty space. What did you do? Her security officer demanded. Partial phase shift, Nova explained, fighting to control the bucking ship. The harmonic resonance creates a subspace field that shifts our position by 0.004 of a second, not time travel, but enough to make us nearly impossible to hit. The aliens on her crew were speechless. This technology was supposed to be theoretical, forbidden by temporal, so accords, but Nova's grandfather had called it probability surfing, and right now, it was saving their lives. They plunged into a dangerous dust cloud with the pirates in pursuit. All but one gave up. Captain Vex himself, determined to discover how a garbage scow had just outrun his entire fleet. Then disaster struck. Vex fired everything he had into the dust cloud, and a torpedo caught their stern. The ship went into an uncontrolled spin, systems failing, Nova's modifications overwhelmed by damaged power grids. That's when Nova made the most desperate decision of her life. She abandoned the bridge, ran to the engine room, and pulled out her grandfather's wrench. But this wasn't just a sentimental keepsake. It was a key. She inserted the wrench into what looked like a standard mechanism, and everything changed. Hidden panels throughout the engine room began to glow. The wrench activated systems she'd secretly built into the ship. Systems based on her grandfather's final, most ambitious design. The one the Galactic Science Academy had called impossible. The ship's lights died completely, then pulsed back to life with an entirely different energy signature. On the exterior, sections of the hull reconfigured themselves, revealing hidden propulsion arrays that glowed with otherworldly blue light. When Nova returned to the bridge, she found Captain Vex preparing to board what he thought was a crippled transport. His expression changed to shock as new energy readings flooded his senses. "What have you done?" he demanded. "That energy signature is impossible." Nova smiled coldly. "You wanted this ship for its rare components. You have no idea what components it's actually carrying." She engaged the fully activated harmonic drive, and the rust bucket didn't just move. It walked space around itself. The pirate ship tumbled away like a leaf in a hurricane as Nova folded space, making their destination appear directly ahead. "What just happened?" her navigator gasped. "Controlled space." "Fold," Nova explained casually. "My grandfather called it the Blackwell harmonic drive. The Galactic Science Academy laughed him out of their chambers when he proposed it. But here's the twist that changes everything. As the pirates pursued them, Nova realized something that made her blood run cold. She scanned their engine configuration and found harmonic resonance patterns similar to her own, but incomplete, unstable. Captain Vex had stolen her grandfather's work 26 years ago. The confrontation that followed revealed the truth. The Scarlet Nebula Syndicate had been stealing technological innovations from various species for decades, including her grandfather's designs. They'd spent years trying to implement his theories, but couldn't make them work because they were missing the key. Literally. The wrench wasn't just a tool, it was the activation mechanism for technology that could revolutionize space travel. Nova used her complete understanding of the harmonic drive to disable the entire pirate fleet, creating an interference pattern that left them dead in space until IDF reinforcements arrived. She'd not only survived the encounter, but captured one of the galaxy's most wanted criminals. 3 weeks later, the transformed rust bucket gleamed with new purpose, rechristened the Harmonic Explorer. Captain Zaol, the same alien who'd mocked her arrival, now spoke with profound respect. "Quite a change from the rust bucket," he observed. Nova smiled, patting the wrench that now hung openly at her belt. Her grandfather's reputation had been vindicated. The Galactic Science Academy issued a formal apology and established a research grant in his name. When offered command of any vessel in the fleet, Nova chose to keep her ship. "The Harmonic Explorer is more than it appears," she said. "Besides, I have more of my grandfather's designs to implement." As she prepared to depart with a new crew of eager engineers from multiple species, Nova took one last look at the station where she'd arrived just a month earlier. Dismissed, ridiculed, assigned to a joke ship. "Time to show the galaxy what harmonious cooperation really means," she said with a confident smile. "And I have a feeling the universe is going to enjoy the punchline." The moral of this story? Never judge a book by its cover. Never underestimate human ingenuity. And sometimes, the biggest jokes are the ones where you think you know the punchline. Until the universe reveals, you were wrong all along. Nova Blackwell didn't just pilot a ship that day, she piloted humanity's reputation from the laughingstock of the galaxy to its most innovative problem solvers. All because she refused to accept that impossible meant impossible, and she carried her grandfather's legacy in more ways than one. The rust bucket became a legend, and so did the human who saw potential where others saw junk.